In today's guide, we're going to be going over carry. Now, when we talk about carry, there's a few things we think about, right? We think about mechanics and macro. So macro is more so, well, how do we position, right? How are we positioning? How are we using our ultimates? And what are we doing to just play the best in game? So that's how we're going to be splitting up this video. We're going to do micro first. We're going to be doing mechanics along with binds and perks. And then we're going to talk about macro, so positioning, ulting, when to do damage, things like that. So I don't want to waste any more time. Let's get straight into the guide. Alright, so let's talk about Kiriko settings. So we're going to go into options, we're going to select hero, and then we're going to go to carry. So in the hero tab, by default, I think you should probably turn toggle healing Ufuda to off. So the reason why you want to do this, it's just because by default, if you leave it on, when you are swapping between healing and doing damage, it's not really fluid. So you can see when I'm trying to just heal a little bit, I'm kind of healing the enemy, and it like doesn't make sense, right? So it's because I'm shooting all of my Ufudas at once because it's on toggle, and typically you're not really going to be always just perma using all your Ufudas. Sometimes you're going to only use like 3 or 2, right? You want to be doing damage in between. So you could do like this, and the Ufudas immediately stop when you let go of your mouse button, right? So it's a lot more intuitive. That's the first setting I would change. The other thing I would tweak is in your controls, I would swap primary and secondary fire because it just feels more intuitive. So if you look at every other hero in the game, the mouse 1 or the primary fire is always the aim ability, right? Like if we look at Cass or we look at Tracer, it's always the aim ability, right? For Kiri, the primary mouse button fire is this. It's just like the healing, and it doesn't really make sense, which is why I would say just swap it, because then it just feels more natural to just do damage with mouse button 1. So those are the binds. So starting off with the minor perks, we have Urgent versus Fortune Teller. So I would take Urgent Care more times than not because it's generally going to be better. In the newer seasons of Overwatch, everything just takes infinite damage due to everybody being able to apply DPS passive. And DPS passive is just healing reduction, right? So because tank, DPS, and support can all provide healing reduction now, your tank will take more damage, your DPSs are going to be taking more damage, everyone on your team is going to take more damage. So Urgent Care increases your healing output whenever someone's like below half. And the healing output is increased because the travel time is reduced. So that's kind of why you want to be taking Urgent Care. It's really, really strong, especially if you have someone that's playing at range, right? So let's say that this bot is like a Genji or Tracer, for instance. When they need care, if you don't take this perk and you're taking like Fortune Teller, then the Ufudas are going to be a lot slower. So this is how fast Ufudas are normally. They're this fast. And you can see that, you know, they're decently fast, but when you have this perk, this is how fast they go. You can see how it goes a little bit quicker, right? And because it's 50% faster for allies under half HP, it's really, really good. So I would just take Urgent Care. So for your major perk, you have the choice of Foxtrot versus Ready Sup. Now, generally speaking, Foxtrot is going to be better, I would say, because movement speed for allies is just really OP, right? So whenever you Caesar someone, they're going to have speed so they can get away. So if you have like a Cass, for instance, or whoever, and if they're slow, they can get Caesared and then they can just, you know, go to cover quicker. That's kind of why Foxtrot is generally going to be better than Ready Sup. But I'm a little biased. I really, really like Ready Sup because you're able to just get a free buff. And you'll see what I mean. So this is the default attack speed. And this is the default Ufuda reload speed. But when you TP, right, you get a buff. And you can see the Ufuda speed is a lot faster when it comes to just reloading, right? So again, this is the default Ufuda reload speed. You TP, and then you can see how much faster it is, right? But keep in mind that this is a double-edged sword because it requires you to use your only movement ability for the most part. So you're being like really aggressive when you use this perk. You're going to be doing a lot of damage and you're going to be having a lot of healing output. If you are very safe after you TP a lot of the times, then this perk can be better than Suzu's speed, just because you're getting just so much more healing and potential damage. But you have to be like using it, right? And if you're not using it, then just take Suzu's speed. It's really up to you. I would just pick comfort. Perks are all about whatever fits better for you or what you see is going to be better in the situation. So just pick comfort and you'll be fine. So for the mechanics, I want to explain my perspective on how you should think about aiming on the hero. So when it comes to aiming, you should try to make it as simple as possible. When you aim, you don't want to aim. Like, you want aiming to not require you to do anything. Like, you want to make it as easy as possible. So how do we do that? When you're standing still, you are actually using the most amount of aim, I will say. Because you actually have to like predict where the enemy's going and you have to account for it and you have to move, right? Now, when you move, you have to do that as well, but it's all your mouse control and it's all understanding, you know, how the enemies move. So standing still is going to let you practice a lot, like understanding how the Kiri projectile works relative to enemy movement, right? So this is how you're going to just practice the projectile. So just practice with this if you're trying to get used to it, right? After you get better, you want to add your own movement, and what your movement is going to do, ideally, it's going to simplify the way you aim. And it's actually twofold, right? The better your movement is, the harder it is for them to shoot you, and the easier it's going to be for you to shoot them. So what do I mean, right? I'm going to just move and not aim whatsoever. So I'm going to just stand still and let's shoot this Lucio. So I'm going to not aim using my mouse. I'm just going to match my movement with the Lucio. So I'm going to do that, right? And I can do it on this like BAP as well. But you can see, like, I'm not moving my mouse at all, but I can still kind of hit shots, right? I'm just matching my crosshair with their head. And it's that simple, right? So you want to combine those things together. You want to combine your actual, you know, movement with your mouse movement, right? So you coordinate it, have a good sense of how enemies are moving, and then you can just aim like that, right? So moving is your friend. It makes aiming a lot easier if you do it right, which is why it's important you think about how you're moving relative to, you know, enemies, right? So if I'm kind of following their movement, it makes it a lot easier to hit shots, right? So that's something to consider when aiming. And a lot of it too is just like practicing. If you just practice your aim a lot, generally speaking, you're gonna just get a feel for it. Mechanics on Kiri and mechanics in general is just playing the character a lot and getting a bunch of practice. And honestly, if you want to get good at Kiri, you should 1v1 someone that's like a rank or 2 higher than you, and you just perma spam that. Like, get a friend that's like masters if you're like diamond, and just 1v1 him on Kiri a lot, and you'll be set for mechanics, I think. Okay, we're going to talk about not using your cooldowns and not like throwing them out willy-nilly. So this is what I mean. This queen is going to go for me. So right here, I'm going to get knifed, right? So I get knifed, boom. Now if I don't want to die, I don't want to get, you know, shot in the head and then knife comboed, I need to TP to my Mercy. Now I'm going to TP to my Mercy. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to Suzu. Now, even though I am bleeding, I'm in a perfectly safe spot, and I don't need to use my Suzu after I TP. Now, this is a really bad habit you don't want to have when you play Kiri, and even for me, sometimes I still do have this habit where I do that, and it's really important that you try to not do this thing. If you are perfectly safe, there is no need to expend both of your cooldowns, right? Sometimes you can just, you know, climb up, or you don't even need to use Suzu, right? I can just TP, I can go back, hide LOS, not take damage, and then I'll have Suzu for someone that actually needs it, right? So don't waste your cooldowns, especially when it comes to trying to peel yourself out, right? Like when you're TPing out, do not heal yourself with Suzu after, especially if you don't need it. You want to be making sure you are not wasting it, because Suzu is really, really important. So we're going to talk about a little bit of a sequencer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk forward a little bit, and I'm going to just heal my tank. So what you see here is you see both of the enemy supports. So if we go into just like the bigger view, this is where they are. Both of their supports are right here, the enemy supports. So when you're playing carry, a lot of the time what's really good is if you pressure enemy supports while you're like healing. So keep in mind that when you're playing carry, what you really don't want to do is you don't want to heal while you're like one shot, right? So you can actually just do that to the enemy team. You can make it so the enemy team or the enemy support's uptime is like lower by just like shooting them, doing damage to them. So they're going to have to sit behind cover, they're going to need to get healed. And when you do that, that lowers their healing output, because if they're peaking in their 1 HP, they're going to die. So all I'm going to do is just spam them, right? Because their Kiri is right here, and he's trying to care this hazard or this echo, right? And because she's taking a little bit of poke, she, you know, wants to be a little bit, you know, cautious, right? Not only from obviously this hazard diving, but just because she's low, right? And when enemy supports or whoever is like low or they're half, you know, your teammates can take advantage of it, and they can look for, you know, potentially a kill, or, you know, forcing Suzu, something like that. The damage you do on Kiri matters a lot, and if you're getting it on the correct target, like if it's on the enemy Kiri or the enemy hit scan, it really does make a huge difference. All the times, right? Kiri sometimes can feel very useless, even though she might be like broken on paper. And people say that because they're just like killbotting, or they're just like randomly getting their cooldowns forced and they're like dying, right? The way you want to be playing it a lot is looking to just like poke the enemy supports out, or the enemy DPSs, right? And if you can do that, then you can like ping them, and then you can go for the kill. Also, another thing you want to make sure you're doing is you want to be like moving around the map a lot. So you want to be moving from like cover to cover as best as you can, and you want to move to like better space to like where your team is playing. So here, I'm just walking forward, and I'm just making sure my team is living. So we're going to talk a little bit about just understanding target priority when it comes to enemies. So this is entirely different from what I was talking about before, but it's really important, because this goes into just like how you read the game and how you like read situations. So what I mean is, this hazard over here is one shot, right? This hazard can choose to escape, or you can look for a trade. And because I know he's probably going to look for a trade, who is he going to go for? Is he going to go for the Lucio, or is he going to go for the Cass? And because there's a wall here, the only person he can look at is the Cass. So the person I should be healing in this situation, I should not be like really doing damage. I can do damage a little bit, right? But I should be looking to make sure I carry my Cass, because in 2 seconds, what's going to happen is what this guy does is he tries to kill my Cass, and my Cass like almost dies, and I used TP Suzu for it, right? So that's why it's really important to know who's getting looked at and who to like focus healing on, because there is a chance here that this Cass does get traded if I didn't do that. If I didn't TP Suzu, maybe he just like dies and gets traded, which is like really, really bad. So that's something you want to be thinking about a lot, is who is getting looked at and who do I need to care the most. All of the times, the person you need to care and the person you need to heal is going to be your hit scan. Your hit scan is going to be the one typically taking the most damage, and they're going to want to play, you know, space where they can shoot the enemy, you know, DPS, right? So make sure you're carrying your hit scan a lot. If your tank is dying and your tank is like doing this, and they're like in their spawn, like let's say my tank was like over here, then you don't really need to like go in and die for them, because that's kind of just their fault for like trolling. So just care who is getting looked at a lot. If your cast is taking a duel, right? If your cast is taking a duel versus another cast or a hit scan, make sure you carry the guy. When your hit scan is using like ultimate, if you have an Emery and they're popping ult, right? Make sure that you're looking up and you're carrying them. Especially when your hit scan or whoever is using an ultimate, make sure you hard carry them and understand who is getting looked at in what situation. So again, in this case, it wasn't my cast, right? But in other cases, it might be my tank that gets looked at instead, right? It is up to you to understand who is getting looked at so you heal the right target. Alright, so here, let's talk about navigating to good space, or a space that like might be better, right? So this is a situation on the map. Where do I really want to play? And for me, this is what I'm thinking in my mind. I want to go over here and I want to play on this height so I could just spam them from range and I have good LOS of everybody on my team. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fast forward a little bit. You can see that I'm pathing towards the left. So I try to go back here and I'm really realizing like, oh, you know, this is not really great. And I need to go like left, right? I need to end up left. I want to like end up on the height. So even though my hit scan's here, what you don't want to do is be like this cast. You don't want to just like play back and like hide. You want to be playing like good space and you want to like play open with your hit scan. You don't want to be playing like this where you just, if you take damage, this guy's gonna have to back up, and he's gonna end up over here where this Reaper is, right? We don't want to do that. We want to end up in space where we have cover here and we can like take a fight and do damage. So I'm gonna go rotate to better space. My cast is gonna do whatever, which is fine. But you can see here, like this feels a lot better for Curie because now I have so many options, right? Yeah, this hazard goes for me, but it doesn't really matter because this is a really bad play. The reason why I play up here too is look at where his team is. Look how overextended this hazard is going to just like ape me like this. It's really, really bad. And because this hazard does this guy just insta-dies. So I see the ground, boom, 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 play behind cover, and then this guy dies. So it's really important to kind of do your best to like rotate back a little bit when you are taking damage. So after my Suzu is gone, right, what I'm trying to do is you can see this minimal movement I do where I just go backwards and I try to like play this cover, because without Suzu the only thing you have to not take damage is TP away, and I don't want to TP away because I want to just shoot him. Like I want to shoot him, I want to finish him off, and I want to provide like healing for my hazard. So I'm going to play behind statue here and I'm just going to shoot him. And you can see that little bit of time I'm given mixed some LOS completely from their hit scan. So like, let's say hypothetically, like their hit scan was like here or here or something. It just stops me from just taking random poke from range. And you want to be doing that a lot on Curie. Not only when you're just getting like ran at like that, but just in general, right? So we played this height, and because we're up here, their hazard just made that bad play. And you can see how like good it is for us because we're playing just like really open space. And now we can just play normally. So always think about where to rotate, right? Think about where you want to end up or where your hit scan wants to end up, and you want to be like rotating with them. Or, you know, even where your tank wants to end up. If you're, it depends on who you're playing for, right? If you're playing for your tank, then play with them and like TP in, help them out or something. But if you're playing for hit scan, your hit scan wants to play open range, so this is like really good for hit scan. I wanted to play here because it's good for hit scan, right? And it's good for me. So I played for this space, and that's kind of what you want to be thinking about a lot is, where can I rotate to? You never want to just be like standing still on Curie. You always want to be moving to like good space. So when the map changes, sometimes it's okay when nothing's happening to just like AFK and sit somewhere until something happens. But a lot of the times the map isn't static, right? It's really dynamic. So when people are moving on the map, that's when you have to move your feet. You have to be rotating over here, rotating like around. You know, you want to be doing things, right? You want to be making sure you're playing good space. So let's talk about using Kitsune and ultimate exchanges. So what's going to happen is my Solj is going to rando die first. And in response to my Solj dying, I want to do something. So on defense, typically you do not want to go first that often, because all you want to do is stall out the clock. And when you have control of the objective, especially on control, right? We just want to AFK and let the percentage tick up to like 99, right? We don't want to go perma-fast. We don't want to keep burning ultimates in their spawn. We want to wait until they can actually take space and get to the point, and then we can do something, right? So when my Solj dies here, this is kind of what you want to be thinking in your head. Oh, my hit scan is dead. Now that means their tank can walk for free. He's not going to take any damage. I have no DPSs by me. It's only me and my Mercy. So what do I want to do? Well, what I can do is maybe I could, go forward. I could TP forward, but in this case, I ult. So I'm going to Kitsune here, and this Kitsune is going to be mostly used to stop this queen from taking point. So she's going to either have to kite it, or she's going to try to fight me in the Kitsune, which is really, really bad for her, right? And when you're doing Kitsune, when you're like planning to use it, see what the enemy tank is posturing to do, or what the enemies are trying to do, right? If they're trying to walk forward, you want to bait them into your space and then use your rush to go forward into them, right? So this queen is really hard posturing to go forward, and you can see she's not playing behind the coin or anything. She's trying to really go in, take advantage of the fact that she got this pick. So she's going to go in, she's going to shout, and she's going to walk in, right? So when this happens, my rush is cutting her off from her escape, right? So this guy is still trying to go forward. He's still trying to ait my Mercy. My Mercy uses Valk, and I'm gonna shoot the queen. Now, I do miss a few shots, right? But the main thing is that she's not really able to do anything now, right? She got that pick, but now she has to hard LOS because she has to respect my rush. So what happens when you use an ultimate? So the enemy, right, is going to use an ultimate in response. There's a sequence to things in an ult fight. Something will happen, or someone's going to go first, right? So what started this entire ult fight is their JQ getting a pick on my Solj, right? And then immediately my Mercy is like, okay, I do not want to explode. So she insta-valks, and then I try to stabilize this using Rush. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go forward, right? I'm going to try to look for a pick, and the Ana responds with Nano. So she's going to Nano the tank. So now the Junker Queen can now play in the fight if she wants to. So I see this happening, right? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go forward. I'm going to look to kill their cast. So I'm going to walk forward, boom, boom. Okay, I shoot their cast. So now we have two picks. They use Nano for both of our support ults. So they use Nano for Valk and Rush, right? And after that, what the enemy tank is going to do is she is going to layer that with her Rush, or her Queen ult. So after her Nano runs out, right, what she's going to do is she's going to try to salvage it with her ult. And because I have Suzu, I can stop her from getting any value because I saved it, right? So she gets negative value with that ult. But that's kind of how ult exchanges work. Something is going to happen, you're going to press a button, the enemy's going to press a button, and then the enemy might press a button again. They might, +1 your ult. So they're going to be using an extra ult to get the advantage over you, right? Now, when these things happen, it's really important that you're not losing track of what's going on, and you really want to just focus on understanding what's happening. Because even if you do end up losing the game, right, you just want to understand the flow of ultimates and how you can, learn from it. And in the next game, you can understand the ult layering better, and then you can have like a really, really good rush that just blows away the lobby. So we talked about positioning, mechanics, we talked about some of the perks, and a little bit of Kiri's micro, right? And then we talked a lot about her macro, so making sure that we're not taking poke and we're living, right? So just remember, a lot of Kiri, I do talk a lot about doing damage in this video, But your main goal is, right, you want to make sure you are providing care to your team and you're living. And if you're doing that, honestly, I think you're doing a really, really good job. Doing damage takes a little bit of time to get used to, but the main core of carry is just making sure, again, you are 1, living, and 2, providing care. If you are doing that, doing damage is very easy. That's the easy part about carry. Getting random poke and getting damage is honestly easy, but finding out how to live and how to position well is the hardest part, right? So I hope you learned a thing or two from this video, and I hope you can take this into ranked, and I hope it'll help you in some way, shape, or form. But that's pretty much it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It was a little bit long, right? Typically with my content, I do end up making them between 20 and 30 minutes, but again, I'm going to try to condense it down to roughly 20 minutes. I kind of want to get it to that time mark around 20. So, you know, we're getting there, and please bear with me. It does take time with these videos. I know my last one was like 7 months ago, but I'm going to try to get back on the grind, and I'm going to look to make more content. So if you have any suggestions, please put that in the comments down below, and definitely like, comment, and subscribe. I think that's it for me. I hope you guys have a good one, and I'll see you guys next time.